Greetings. How are y'all doing today?
Welcome back
to episode 6.
Is it already 6?
It is. Isn't it 6? Look, 1,
so.
2, 4. Yeah, it's 6. I've got a math degree.
Anyways, we're back, and Hayden's back again.
Hi.
Yay!
Yay! That sounded so tired. It's been a long week here at the Muffin Top.
It's only the middle of the week.
It's only the middle of the week. We're recording this on a Wednesday, so... Ooh.
Not that you know when we normally record.
No, you'll never know.
But this is just a fun fact.
Yeah. It's a fun fact. Alright, so, I was told that we're gonna be doing, Zelda again.
Yep, we're gonna wrap it up. You stole Hayden.
We stole him.
You stole him from wherever he was.
The Hyrulean
historian himself.
I'm back.
We're gonna
You're
pick
back.
up where we left off.
And my
Because-
back hurts.
My back hurts.
It's been, 2 weeks?
It's been 2 weeks.
You've forgotten how much of it?
A lot of it.
Perfect. We'll start right off then.
Great.
Do you at least remember that the timeline splits?
Yes. I don't remember, however, any of Skyward Sword.
That's not important.
Oh, well, that's
I
just a
guess.
creation
Any of
story.
the what was it, the train games?
We didn't go over the train
We
games,
didn't go
huh?
over the train. What games did we go? I don't remember.
We went over
We did
Skyward
Skyward
Sword,
The Minish Cap. I don't remember the
More
Minish Cap.
Swords,
Well, that was like a 5-minute
and
video.
Ocarina of Time.
I remember
Time.
Ocarina of Time, but
That's 'cause
only...
we talked about that for like 20 minutes.
That was
That's a big one.
Okay.
Yeah, at least you remember that.
Okay.
We can take it from here.
So let's start.
Let's get started.
Right.
Which branch do you want to start with, then, Hayden? There's 3 of them. Let's let Ben pick.
Okay, what are my
Yeah.
options?
Your options are... Alright, so you've got Link dies, Link wins, stays an adult, or Link wins and goes as a child. You gotta pick one.
Let's do Dark Route first.
So-
Link
so-
Alright,
dies.
the Fallen Hero timeline.
Link dead.
Alright.
So, the Fallen Hero timeline starts with
This one's boring.
Link
Oh.
dying.
Because he's dead.
And Ganon and his monsters, or Ganondorf and his
This
monsters.
is where the game that you played has been. The one Zelda game that you played is in
Oh yeah,
the,
it's in this
the
timeline.
Fallen Hero.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. This
It
is
has-
where most of the
it's
2D
plot,
games
It's the
are.
plotless timeline, basically.
Right. So basically, the timeline starts with Ganondorf and his monsters just running amok in Hyrule because Link's dead. They lost, and Hyrule's just trying to fight a rebellion, kind of like Star Wars. And they got a small group of people led by the 7 sages, who you might remember those. They find a way to seal Ganon in the Sacred Realm, which now becomes the Dark World. So that opens up A Link to the Past.
Oh,
Yes.
title card.
You will see many puns in this timeline. It's awful. But so A Link to the Past, essentially, there's like this...
Have you played Link to the Past?
yeah, a little bit of it. Have you?
I've
Right.
Played the whole thing.
Tell us
I
what
haven't.
happens.
Well, from what I remember, it's like, you've got... I'm trying to remember. It's been a while.
You have the wizard.
It was like one of the first 2D... It's one of the best 2D Zeldas, I think.
It's the best,
It's
I
the
believe.
best.
I don't even know what the name of the one I played was.
You played the first one, which is, I think, literally just called The Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, alright.
So Link to the Past, you start off as Link in your uncle's house, and then something happens, and your uncle's like a soldier in a castle. Something happens. It's a stormy night, man. And your uncle leaves, and he tells you not to follow him. You follow him. You follow him to the castle, where he's dying, and he's like, "I told you not to come. Take this sword. Save Princess Zelda." And so you take the sword, and you leave your uncle to die. And then you go to the throne room.
Wait,
Yeah.
Why?
Because he was dying. You're not a medic. You're a little boy.
You're just
A
gonna
little
let
young,
him die?
pink-haired boy.
There's gonna be
What
like,
did you
okay.
want him to do?
Well, I mean, like, at least be with him in his dying moments.
He was.
And then
He
just-
dies like right after you finish the
He
conversation.
was,
Oh,
he
okay.
was taking a while,
He was taking a sweet time.
and there were places to be.
You get to the throne room and Zelda's there, and she's like, "Quickly, come through. We can't survive here." And so you follow her, and it leads to like a church on like the other side of the map. And then she's like, "Okay, so Ganon's here." Or not Ganon. It's like some evil wizard dude.
His name's Aghanahim.
What are these
I don't
names?
He's just he is a guy that's infiltrated the
He's like a
royal
summoner.
family, and he
Like
took
evil
over
wizard.
essentially.
Is,
Yeah.
is he the same as Demise?
No.
No, that's just the
Demise is
spirit
the
of
same.
Ganon.
Demise is the same as Ganon.
Man,
Demise.
Demise is
Demise.
probably my favorite villain.
Of Demise and Demin.
Stop saying Demise.
Hey, I was told it's Demise.
You
so,
were also corrected immediately after.
I'm just like, wondering when the rats
The
come.
rats.
The rats.
I'll keep making that joke forever.
The rodents.
The rodents. The
So-
ratatouille.
That's the villain of the next game.
That's the next game. So you've got Zelda there, and she's like, "Okay, you need to get back to the castle, but you can't because there's like a magical force field. Convenient for plot." So you're tasked with going to 7 places in the world to rescue like a princess or a spirit
I think
or
it's the
something.
sages. I think.
They're all like
Anyway.
princesses though.
Yeah, they're different.
Yeah.
That's
so
what it gets
so like
confusing.
you save them, you rescue them, and then they
Well, this is a different incarnation of Link and Zelda anyway.
they lift the protective barrier. You go inside, you go up to the final area of the castle, and then I can't remember. I'm trying to think. It's been a while.
You go to the Dark Realm.
Well, you
Right?
fight the wizard dude.
Yeah.
You kill the wizard
You
dude,
kill him.
and then he's like, "Well, I can't have this happening." Boosh! Dark world, and then you're in the dark world,
Which is where Ganondorf was sealed.
It's just the regular overworld, but there's different music and the colors are inverted. And you have to go to the same 7 dungeons again. They're slightly different.
But they're the same.
Like they're the same concept.
But harder.
The rooms are different. There's different enemies.
It's harder.
A little harder. There's harder enemies.
They had to
This
do
is
that.
where you have to grind for heart pieces.
Of course it is. They're not going to let you
Yeah,
face the final boss unless you go through hard.
So you go through and you have to get like 7 crystals or something. And then you fight Ganon and you win. Yay. And along the way you get the Master Sword.
Right,
It's in
and
the
that's all
woods.
taking place in the Dark Realm, which is just the Sacred Realm at this point.
What?
Then we follow up with Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons, which I'll go through that quick, but it's essentially Ganondorf's moms.
These are 2 different games.
Yeah.
They made 2.
It's like
how
Pokemon.
Pokemon makes 2
Yeah.
games.
So Ganondorf's moms are trying to resurrect him because he's still like trapped in the realm, and they're trying to resurrect his spirit. And so, I think. So Link gets transported, and depending on which game you play, 2 different regions where you meet the Goddess of Power Din or the Goddess of Wisdom Nehru. And essentially you go on a bunch of quests, use Zelda to help you find it. Eventually the Ganondorf's moms, which are named Twinrova, they summon Ganon, who's not Ganondorf. Ganondorf was the man, the Gerudo man. Ganon is just this pig monster. And it's like the soul of Demise, but like just like the soul, not
So
it's
wait.
like a monster with the soul.
Oh, wait. Ganon is a pig monster.
Ganon
Yeah.
is the pig monster. Ganondorf is the humanoid.
So he's got like no
What's the
mind
difference?
and no memory.
What's the
The
difference?
pig is
Well,
the
yeah, no,
difference.
that's what I'm saying. But like, why would they do that?
I don't know. He was so in the first Legend of Zelda game, they didn't have the human form yet. He was just the pig monster. So his human form didn't come until Ocarina of Time came out.
So they had to explain that
And they were
essentially.
like, "This is how it works."
Yeah. Because some games still use Ganondorf.
Are they the
and
same
some use
person?
Ganon.
Yes.
Yes.
They can switch. It's like a second form of the final fight, basically. That's how it usually works.
Yeah, sometimes.
What?
Well, anyway.
It's not important.
Okay.
Pig Monster Ganon's
Same
back.
guy.
You defeat his mom's twin Rova. You defeat Ganon. And
You just kill everyone.
all is well for a little while. Then we go to A Link Between Worlds. There's another... No, we go to Link's Awakening. Yes. Which that is Link's on a boat. And he's traveling back from like his adventures in those games. And the boat, it's like crazy rocky winds. The boat sinks. He lands on an island called Koholint Island. And on that island, there's a whole adventure. That's one of the more mysterious games. I'm not going to spoil that for anyone. But it's definitely a very interesting story. And I don't think there's any other
I'll
Zelda game
spoil
like
it for you, Ben.
Oh, wow.
Don't worry.
Yay! You heard him now. Spoiler warning.
I'm kidding, Ben.
If you didn't
I'm
know.
not gonna tell you that everyone's actually a kangaroo.
Wait,
Yep.
That's the big twist.
guys,
Sorry
I'm very
for all
sorry
those.
you had to figure this out now.
But this is a game you should still play. This is one of the
They
best
made a
games,
remake.
I think. Yes.
They just remade it.
Remade
It's
on Switch.
It's cool. It's good.
It's got a nice art style.
It does. They look like toys.
But we didn't say, but as it's already said, spoiler warning. If you
Oh,
haven't known that,
These are all old games.
these are all old games. You should have played
Yeah,
them by
they came
now.
out in the 90s.
Don't be like me.
Silly Ben.
If what are you doing here?
Like most
Spoil.
of these are like DS and earlier games. Only a few of them are a little later than that.
So moving to a more recent game would be...
We're going further back.
No, it goes to... That timeline's not updated. It goes
Never
A
mind.
Link Between Worlds, which I've never played it. It's just essentially what happens... There's like a whole
It's a link to
alternate
the past.
There's an
So it's the
alternate
same
dimension.
world.
They've
yeah.
been changing the timeline. Is
yeah.
what I've been hearing.
Yeah, because they had the ad games, and they're like sticking them in different places on the timeline.
A lot of these games.
That timeline's from 2011.
They're just like, let me stick in Breath of the Wild right here, and
That's it. We'll get back to Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, so stuff happens. It's like an alternate world of Hyrule. It's called Laurel. I don't know much about the plot. There's like a rabbit guy named Ravio, all kinds of stuff. Anyway, then that goes to Triforce Heroes, which is literally just made for like multiplayer on the 3DS. That one's like,
We don't talk about that.
yeah,
why not?
It's
Talk
just
about
the sequel to Link Between Worlds. We're just mentioning it for the sake of mentioning it. Now we move back to the older timeline.
Yay.
At some point, the Triforce splits into 3 parts, and also Zelda gets put to sleep like Snow White.
Why?
I'm
plot
not sure
reasons.
why.
Plot reasons.
For convenience, Ben.
But
They
that
made it a
leads-
story.
That leads to the game you played, the original Legend of Zelda.
Yay, the one that you
Yes, with
speed
the
ran.
laser beam swords. Yes,
That was my favorite part. Was just laser
Well,
beams.
that's in like
that's
every Zelda
everyone's
game.
favorite part.
It's like it's so overpowered.
It makes me so mad to lose health in Zelda games just because I like.
Well,
the
I never
sword.
lost health, so I always had it.
Look
Look
how
at
good he
you!
is.
Look at you!
Well, I mean, it's like I just always thought he shot laser beams from his sword. I only learned recently that if you lose health, you don't get laser beams.
Yeah, it's a magical gift.
He's just so good at Zelda.
I mean, I'm
Alright.
not
Well,
That's
saying
why
that.
we're gonna force you to play Breath of the Wild eventually.
Yeah.
Like, can I shoot laser beams in Breath of the Wild?
Yep.
Yes.
Only with the Master Sword.
You'll love it. It's great. That game has the most basic plot to ever exist. It's basically every plot we've
Save
mentioned.
princess, killed pig. Yay!
Yeah.
That's the plot. There's no plot.
Kill pig.
Kill pig.
But it got a sequel, which some
Which is
consider
even
the
worse.
worst.
The worst official Zelda game.
Yes.
We won't get into
The Legend of
CDI
Zelda
games.
2, The Adventure of Link.
Can I play the CDI games? We're playing the CDI games on the channel.
Gosh, the CDI
We're playing
games.
the CDI games.
How do we get the CEI?
I don't know, Rom.
Oh, they are out there.
They're out
I know they are out
We're
there.
gonna play.
Can I find
Let's do
gameplay
it.
of this? Alright, I'm gonna look up gameplay of this.
Oh, don't spoil yourself. It's atrocious.
It's atrocious.
It's like someone
Oh,
vomited
no,
on
you
a
have
game
to see it.
cartridge. And it came to life.
I'm just gonna y'all keep talking. Y'all keep talking.
So, Adventure of Link,
boring one. It's like a weird. They chose a weird style to make this game.
Yeah, the gameplay is weird. The story is kind of weird. It essentially just wraps everything up in that timeline by saying you stopped Ganon's ultimate revival. You killed him. The princess is revived. Peace is restored to Hyrule. Anyway, now would you like?
Is it?
Yeah, that's it.
Why is it like that?
That's just what they chose to do.
just-
Why is it?
I don't know. It was
like that.
It was trendy at the time.
Was it? Because like the original was just like up and down, and that was pretty fun.
They're probably riding off.
This
of
is the
Super
only
Mario's
game that is
style.
like that, or Metroid. I really don't know. Anyway, you want the adult timeline or the child timeline?
You get to
now?
pick.
Adult.
Oh dang it!
All right.
Are we
Which
saving
one
the
is
best
that
for
one?
last? Is that what we're
My
doing?
favorite is the child timeline because that's where all the dark games are.
Okay,
That's
well we're
my favorite
saving
one.
the best for last. Come
All
on.
right. Well, I will explain the adult timeline because I do love the first adult timeline game, and then Owen can take the child timeline.
So we'll
most
start
of it.
off with this. So you're an adult, right? You've gotten that much. You understand?
Yeah.
You're an adult. You're staying an adult. Hyrule gets sealed away.
What?
They just say we're not gonna have any of that.
What?
We're just getting rid of it.
Yep.
Never happened.
What?
And you know what they did after they sealed it? They flooded the world.
What?
It was
It's
like the great
literally
flood.
just water and a bunch of islands.
So the first game after that,
The Legend of Zelda: The Wind
the Wind
Waker.
Waker.
So-
The world is an ocean, and there's islands that you travel to by boat.
Yeah,
It's
Why?
pretty fun.
and the boat talks.
The boat talks.
What?
He's the king of red lions.
Why?
Magic. Funky characters.
Why the
Plot
heck would they
devices.
do that?
I think they kind of explained. It was an attempt to like permanently seal away Ganon,
Yeah,
but it didn't work because he comes out and he's
It's
like,
kinda
"I'm
like-
gonna take over the world."
It's kind of like to get world peace, let's destroy the world. You know, it's kind of like that.
No, that's not.
Exactly, it doesn't work.
because the Triforce still exists.
And this is the adult
yeah, this is the adult timeline.
because
And
he
this
looks
one,
like a kid.
that's his reincarnation.
This
Which
is years and
I-
years later. Like
this is
Hyrule gets
important.
flooded.
There's
years
an interesting
and years
fact, or not fact. What do you call it when it's like not canon?
later. A headcanon,
Head-
a legend.
headcanon. It's a headcanon.
Yeah.
So in this game, the headcanon is that you don't play as a reincarnated Link. You're just a kid who lost his sister, and that just so happened to swing you into the whole Link thing. And because you are not the reincarnation of Link, and you end up killing Ganon, that breaks the curse of demise. Because you
I've
ended the
never
loop.
heard this.
Really?
Because I saw it somewhere. Because if you notice in the timeline after Wind Waker, there's no more reincarnations.
No,
it's
you-
all
you
sequels of Wind
kill-
Waker. Like
you completely-
the cycle ends.
At the end of the game, you actually like take a sword and stab it through Ganondorf's forehead.
Really?
Like he dies, and then you use the Triforce to like wish you basically like say get rid of Hyrule, like it's gone forever.
Because what you had to do was you had to find the Triforce is broken apart. You had to find the pieces of the Triforce on the different islands, and then you had to find through the different islands a way to get underneath the surface, like underneath the water, to get to like just the Hyrule down there. And once you get down there, Ganondorf's down there. Well, Ganondorf's actually up on the surface, right? Like he's up
Yeah.
on the island. Yeah. So he follows you down there, right? Yeah, he follows you down there, and you fight him, and you stab him in the forehead, and then you win.
So this is the happiest.
And your sister
timeline.
is saved.
This is the happiest timeline because you end the cycle of reincarnations
All this
from demise. There's other bad people.
all
that
this
come.
starts because a bird just swoops down, picks up your sister,
Yep.
and carries her off.
Because the bird thought she was someone else. That's the whole plot.
That bird saved the entire world.
Which you kill the bird. It's one of the bosses.
Like
Way later on in the game.
Like
That's
halfway.
kind of cool. Yeah, that's cool because
It's a fun
like,
game.
It comes back.
but that bird inadvertently saved the world.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to. That's for sure.
Saved the world.
saved the world.
You're on
Anyways.
98.1. That bird saved the world. All right, go on.
Then you get two kind of bad sequels of it. There's the Phantom Hourglass, where you and like one of your friends who just owned like a arcade on one of the islands go on this adventure and finding to find this sword that like seals phantoms or something, because a phantom's terrorizing the world. I don't know. And the phantom possesses your friends, and you have to defeat the phantom. I don't know much about that one. But then they're like sailing, and they're like, check it out, it's a new continent. It's like, it's America over there. So
America!
I don't even know.
World!
I don't know. But the new world has trains, and you ride the trains, and there's an evil train king. And
There's an evil train king?
There's an evil
yeah, the
train
evil
king.
King Maladus.
Oh. I
think he's
play
like,
these games.
I think he has something to do with trains. Well, anyway, there's a lot of trains. It's called Spirit Tracks. There's
So
a lot of
you're on
ghosts,
a
a lot of
train
trains.
track.
But like, my question is that seems like bad gameplay because you're on a track, right?
It is.
But like, you can't change the track. You're
You
just
like, can't you like, the whole gimmick of that game is like, as you're on the train, you like build the tracks and control where it goes.
Yeah, I think so. But like
Yeah.
for traveling, yeah. I think there's like dungeons and stuff
It's weird.
still.
It's a three.
That's
it's
not
a,
how trains
It's
work.
a DS game. It's weird.
That's not how trains work.
Yeah, it's
Owen.
not, Ben.
That's not how
I'm
trains
glad you're
work.
smart enough to realize this fatal flaw.
Yeah, that's right.
And just ignoring all the other magical things that happen within the Zelda universe.
Just ignore the trains.
The train tracks are making me
The
angry.
train, that's the worst thing so far?
Everything else is fine. The train tracks are making me angry.
Oh, also the birds came back. We didn't even acknowledge that. Remember way back in Skyward Sword how you rode on the birds?
Oh my god!
I never knew
They
that.
evolved into the Rito.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah.
I thought.
What is a Rito?
I thought
It's like a humanoid bird. Just like the Zora or humanoid
No,
fish.
I thought it was that the Zora. Well, this kind of gets contradicted in Breath of the Wild, but I think the theory before was that the Zora they kind of evolve into the Rito because I don't remember why, because it doesn't make sense, because you think they'd be able to live if the entire world is an ocean. But somehow there was something about they wouldn't have a place to like really have a kingdom, so they eventually evolved into the Rito to like.
I know. I
it's
just thought
weird.
I always thought it was just bird to
That
bird.
makes more sense.
Y'all
but-
are making no sense right now.
Yeah.
I'm just hearing.
There's other species of creatures.
There's
Oh.
okay, so there's the fish people. We talked about them. The rock
Zoras,
people.
The Gorons.
The Gorons. There's the forest spirits.
Korok.
There's all the women. The Gerudo. There's the Shikas, which are like the
That's like a subclass of Hylian.
yeah. It's like Jedi.
Hylian's
The-
human,
And then there's the Rito,
which are bird people.
which are just bird
They
people.
can fly. They have wings.
And they carry your mail for you.
Yeah.
I mean, what?
Ben.
Okay.
It's,
No, go
it's
on.
fantasy.
I'll get it. I'll get it.
Alright,
I'll
we
get
finished the adult
That's the
timeline.
adult timeline. It's really
Ganondorf's killed forever. America's discovered.
And
You know,
now
all that.
onto
trains.
my favorite game. The sequel to Ocarina of Time. This Majora's Mask. This is the child timeline.
You met with a terrible fate.
So
haven't you?
basically, it starts out. You start off as a child because you decide to go back to a child in Ocarina of Time. So at the end of Ocarina of Time, your little fairy friend, who annoys you the entirety of the game, flies off. You, being the dumb little child you are with no friends, decides, hey, that's my only friend. I'm gonna follow her. And so you follow her into the woods, and then you die.
What?
Pretty sure you die.
Like, pretty sure?
Like, pretty sure you die.
You essentially fall
like
down.
you fall
a
down a
bottomless
giant
pit.
pit in a tree and you die.
Assumedly die.
That's the theory. Because
When you wake
you
up,
proceed, the entire game
You're
is
not
on a
in Hyrule.
3-day loop. So basically, you have to make progress. Go back in time before the world ends.
and the world's ending because the moon
Yeah, the moon's crashing
is
down.
coming down, and the moon has this face.
Yeah, none of it really makes sense if you just play it, because it's like, I fell down a tree, now I'm in this real open world, what's happening?
It's called Termina. It's not even Hyrule.
Yeah, but like the same characters were there,
But
they
it's,
have different
it's
names.
the exact same people, just
So
different
it's
names,
confusing.
different purposes.
But if you think about it, this is the theory. The five areas of the game. You've got the central area, you've got the woods, or it's a swamp, and then it's the mountains, then it's the beach, and then it's the desert.
Yeah.
Each of those is supposed to resemble one of the 5 stages of grief, which is very interesting because it's such a... Death is a very strong theme in this game. Like,
I know a few things about death myself. Go watch our podcast on Afterlife. It's quite a doozy.
Yay! Yeah, you like... People die in this game. Like, you watch them die, and they're like, my soul needs help. And then you play them a little song, and then they pass away.
And you get a mask.
You get a mask, and you can have
Become
them possess you.
And the scene is
It's
so terrifying. You put on
It's
the
really-
mask,
you
like
scream.
it screams. You're transformed,
It's my favorite game. It was my
It's
first
really
Zelda
good.
game.
and it's really good. And it's really kind of hard because you gotta stay in the time loop, and you gotta finish what you need to finish. Like you gotta finish a cold dungeon in a 3-day time loop, or
But you
else you
can
gotta
slow
start
it
that
down.
over. Yeah, you can slow it down, speed it up, whatever you need to do. But you have to work within the time loop.
But yeah, so each of the 5 areas are like the 5 stages of grief. So the first area you start out in is called Clock Town, because there's a giant clock, and it's a town. They're very creative.
What an inventive
Oh,
name.
you forgot to mention the Skull Kid with the mask, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
about him.
So the Skull Kid found this mask. It's called Majora. And
yeah.
Majora,
The mask is called-
The mask is
Well,
like possessing him.
The
and
mask is
he's-
called Majora's Mask.
He's causing all this stuff to happen. So he's causing the moon to fall. Like the mask, like is creating the
So
apocalypse.
he's the villain.
Yes.
Yes, the mask is the villain, not the Skull Kid wearing it.
Skull Kid's just tool.
Can you wear the mask?
Yeah, you put it on and it like possesses you.
You shouldn't wear
and
it,
then you
but
have
you could.
supreme power.
Do you?
I mean, that's what happens to Skull Kid in the game. He puts it on and he's like, whoa.
Yeah, he can bring down the moon and like do all that.
And then he betrays his friends and brings the moon down.
But like you can put on the mask.
No, not in the game.
Not in the game.
No,
No,
you give
you-
it back to the person who had it originally, and he's like, now it's safe.
Well, that's not
Now it
fun.
will just vanish.
Why can't I put on the mask and bring down?
Well,
the
you can
moon?
play Breath of the Wild.
Can
You
I
can
do
put-
that in there?
It's a DLC item. It
Wait,
doesn't
I can bring down the moon.
No, but you
Hmm.
can wear the mask, and it like makes you. It makes you like hide from enemies better. That's all it does. And it glows in the dark.
Dumb. Anyway,
Anyways,
continue.
so the first area in the game is Clock Town, and if you look up, you can see the moon. You can see it looking back at you. It has a face, by the way. It has a very big, ugly face. Throughout the 3 days, you can see it very obviously getting bigger and getting closer. No one in the town wants to believe that it's actually going to crash down. So that's denial. And then, you're going to the moon?
I'm googling the moon.
And there's the swamp.
And then you go to the swamp.
That is scary.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
That is terrifying.
Yeah, the whole game is nightmare fuel.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
That thing.
We should play this game, Ben.
We
I think
should-
you'd like it.
Okay. Well, first we have to finish Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion.
Yeah, that's a thing we're doing now. We started game videos.
I don't like that
It's
game.
scary.
Regardless.
Back to Zelda. Where were we? Oh yeah, the second area you go to is the swamp. There's like a little tribe of forest people.
Deku scrubs.
Deku scrubs.
Look at this scrub.
And the Deku princess gets like kidnapped by the temple boss, and everyone's really mad, mostly the king, and so that's anger. And then you go over to the mountains, and everyone's depressed because their favorite person died.
Who?
The Goron person, I don't
Oh
remember.
yeah,
his
he was
name.
like the chief of the village, something
No,
like that.
he was like the hero of the village.
Oh.
He was the strongest one they had, and then he died, and everyone was
loved
depressed.
him.
So that's depression. And then you go into the beach, and this is the most, the biggest stretch because it would be acceptance, not acceptance.
Wait,
it would
I
be
thought bargaining was the
it's not in
Gorons.
perfect order. No, Gorons is
Oh.
definitely depression. I think.
I always thought they were bargaining because they were like.
They're not. I'm not bargaining for anything. Maybe I might be wrong. The Zoras might be depression, but they don't. They're not sad. I'm not sure. One of them's depression, and one of them's supposed to be bargaining. I'm not sure why it's bargaining.
Keep going.
Because they're not they're not really bargaining for anything.
It's bargaining because the soul of the Goron is like trying to get you to bring him back to life.
Oh yeah,
he's like not accepting his death.
He like leads you back to his body.
Right.
And then
Can you revive him?
No, but you can
wear the
like you
mask.
free his soul. Like you go to his grave and he's like, "This is where I died. I wish I could be in peace." And you play him a little song. He's like, "Oh, I'm so loved." Ooh. Yeah, it's a weird game.
That's pretty weird.
Yeah, so yeah, and then the Zora are depressed because their lead singer lost her voice, and they have a concert to play the next day or something. I don't remember. And you do that, and then you go to the desert, and that's supposed to be acceptance. I can't remember why. I think it's just because there's no one living there anymore. Like, it's a barren wasteland. The only people are like a scientist and like a bunch of like spirits that can't leave.
It's because it says that
Like
Link demonstrates that he is no longer troubled by the loss of people in his life. And yeah,
I was gonna say because all the spirits there know they're dead and like fine.
yeah,
with it.
that too.
They're, like,
That's
fine
probably a
with being
key
dead.
part of it.
So that's that. That's Majora's Mask. Best game, 10 out of 10. And then you go into Twilight Princess.
So
Another dark game.
in part
this
one,
one's more edgy.
in part
not
one,
terrifying.
we discussed the Interloper War, which these like
You don't
aliens
remember that.
came down, and they were imprisoned in a shadow realm. We get to see them again.
Oh!
They're the Twilight.
I didn't connect the dots.
Yeah.
I just did.
So before this, Ganondorf, back in Hyrule, assumedly Link is dead, but Ganondorf back in Hyrule is being executed. But
he is executed. No, that's right. He is being executed.
and something goes wrong, and he escapes.
He
into
survived.
This Twilight
So he's
realm.
being executed, and then he like holds out his hand, and the power of the Triforce of power, like surges through him, and he's like kept alive by that. And he pulls out the spear that was stabbed into his side, and he chucks it at the guy who threw it at him. It's a very terrifying cutscene. And then they're all like, "Oh no, what do we do?" And then they open the portal that's behind him to the Twilight Realm, which is like the Shadow World. It's not hell. It's the Shadow World.
Yeah.
And then he goes in there, and he's like, "No."
No.
And then he
There he meets
takes over,
Zant and the
basically.
Twilight, and they basically worship him as a god, and he promises them like a place as his people if they bring him back to
promises
the
them a
real
place
world.
in the world of light
Yes.
because they can't go in the world of light because they're shadow.
But isn't he lying?
No,
No.
He can
He's
make them.
using them to get back into the real world.
he's using them. So what he does is he basically possesses Zant, which is the usurper king of the Twilight. So they do. I don't know how they get back to the world of light, but somehow they do, and they do like a raid where they just completely annihilate all the soldiers in the castle of Hyrule, and they take over, and then they put this big veil of twilight over the entire kingdom of Hyrule, which allows all the shadow people to come out as monsters because they're like corrupted or something. And the whole point of the game, we're not going to talk about the wolf.
The wolf?
Link is a half wolf in this game.
What?
You can turn into a wolf.
He transforms into a wolf.
But the whole point of the game is
It's a nice
you've got to
amiibo.
you've got to like banish the Twilight back. You got to push all back.
You got a friend.
Save the day.
Her name's Midna.
Yeah, little imp.
She's a little imp with a giant hand on her head.
That's a fun game too. That one's pretty dark.
It is
Kind of
fun.
sad.
Sad.
It's got like sad
It was
vibes.
really funny because when these games came out, it was Wind Waker was on GameCube.
Yeah, Twilight was supposed to
and
be
Wind Waker
the
was
sequel to Wind Waker.
Right, Wind
and
Waker
you could see the art differences.
was all cartoony and people didn't like it. I love the art style.
People were mad about
But
the art
then
style.
Twilight
"It's too
Princess came
cartoony."
out and it was just
So they were like,
so
"Oh, you
dark
don't
and
want
gritty.
cartoony? We'll give you realistic then." And they just gave out this heavy emo art style.
What makes it edgy?
Everything's like dark colors. Like the brightest color in the game is maybe like a light blue they use for ice. Like it's all dark palette colors. And all the most of the music is like kind of like melancholic, especially the night music and the music when you're in the
and
twilight
the plot's
zones.
just darker.
The plot's dark.
And
It's
all
rated
the
T. The game is rated T,
Just
so
the
they
art
can have
style.
like really creepy cutscenes.
The art style is different. Like, you'd see like I guess you'd have a spider enemy in another game. It'd just be like kind of like a
The
little
spiders in this game are
a
really
cartoon spider with like 4 or 8 eyes or however many.
scary.
And
These
then
are
in this game
huge.
they're like tarantulas. They're just
They're huge,
walking
like
around.
twice your size, and they
So,
chase after you.
Where's Zelda?
Zelda's like
She's in this
keeping
one.
a low profile because if Ganon finds her, that's it. Like he'll take full control. So she's trying to not get found. I think she does get found. Yes, she does.
Yeah,
But that's not till the end of the game.
How does this game end?
How does it end? It ends. So it ends with you finally being able to, as Link, finally being able to go into the Hyrule Castle, because there's like this impenetrable veil of twilight surrounding it throughout the whole game. So you can finally go in there, and Ganon's in there, like he's just hanging around up there, and you get there, and Zelda's there, like it's a trap, and then Ganon possesses Zelda, and that's a weird fight, and then you beat all of them, and then you beat Ganon, and he's like, no, not again, and that's the end of the game. And then
That's
we're not gonna spoil the big plots.
okay. What is this?
Oh, that is actually the spirit of
That's
the
Link.
the Link from Ocarina of Time. I don't know if it's ever confirmed, but that's the theory that you're the hero of Twilight.
It was a past reincarnation,
and that's
of
the
Link.
hero of Time. So that's the one from Ocarina of Time and Majora's
and you have to
Mask.
fight him,
He teaches
He's
you
teaching you
moves.
stuff.
Like he teaches you how to use your sword.
but like he
'Cause
looks
you're
like
the
a
new-
boss.
He's
I mean, he
not,
looks like
He
one.
looks like
It's just
one,
a
'cause he's dead.
skeleton because he's dead. Yeah.
but he's teaching the new reincarnation how to sword fight.
He's also much taller.
Well,
Yeah, he is.
And how is he alive?
He's a
he's
spirit.
like
You're like hallucinating.
yeah.
So what have I learned today? That Twilight Princess has drugs?
Yep. It does. There is actually a part where you have to go get drugs.
So this
Why not
timeline
Express?
then finishes after all that with Four Swords Adventures, which is
Small game.
it's
Inconsequential.
Ganondorf brings back Vadi, who was the villain from Minish Cap and Four Swords. You fight him, you kill Vadi, you kill Ganondorf, you win.
Yay!
The
Yay.
timeline is
So
complete.
now you know all 3 timelines.
What about Breath of the Wild?
Breath of the Wild is the reconjunction of all 3.
What?
We know this because throughout Breath of the Wild, throughout its cutscenes, things people say, we know that all 3 timelines have existed. So they mention something about a great flood at some point.
There's
in the game.
things that you can find that like
Yeah, they
reference
talk
it.
about the Great Flood, so that's one timeline. They mention Twilight, so that's the
another.
middle timeline. At some point, they mentioned the 3rd timeline. They
There's
talk about
locations
Skyward. Yeah,
from
there's
that one.
there's locations from all 3 timelines that you can visit that are like run down.
So like,
It's really cool.
Okay.
I don't know how they really explain it, if they have, but it brings all three together.
How?
So it's back to one. It's back to one linear timeline.
Like, I'm okay with it splitting off. Like, that makes sense. But how does it reconverge?
We don't know, Ben. We're just accepting it because
Maybe
it's a
when
good
we
game.
play through it, we'll
Maybe
figure it out.
when the sequel comes out, they'll explain it somehow.
Right, there's a sequel to it as well.
It's coming out eventually.
That's just so much.
Yeah, Ben's once again his brain has melted.
That's so much.
And we talked for less time.
He loves it.
Yeah. Okay. So we just finished the Zelda timeline.
Yay!
Oh my gosh. I just.
We'll have to play some of these games.
Yeah, we're gonna play some of these games at some point.
Especially Breath of the Wild, since we didn't really talk about the plot. So that
You know, we're gonna be playing Breath of the Wild
Breath of the Wild.
at some point.
I would love to see Ben attempt the CDI links.
Yeah, we're gonna play a bunch of Zelda games in the future.
Hopefully,
Thank you for watching. However,
listening,
I guess now. I'm gonna put edits in. You're gonna see like little magic. You know what I mean? Like magic.
we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, you know, I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I believe
Better. We got Hayden all the way out from Connecticut.
Connecticut.
We drove him all the way
Hartford.
out here.
Wow.
That was a 7-day drive, Ben. You better have enjoyed this.
7
I haven't
days.
Now he's
slept
got to
in
walk.
7 days.
He's got to walk all the way back now. You better have
Walk?
enjoyed
Yeah,
this.
my car broke down.
Your
Yeah.
car broke down.
And we
I'm
don't have any
walking the
bikes or
Hartford
anything.
Connect.
All right. If you like the video, please dislike. Don't comment. Don't subscribe. We
Why
don't
would
want
you
you.
want
Don't
that?
repost. Don't reblog. I don't want you here. Why were you here? Why were you listening to us?
Why did you listen to this?
Why are
What
you
compelled you?
here? Regardless,
Me.
It was
I
Hayden.
did.
We all know it
I
was Hayden.
compelled
be on the lookout for Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion. If you've never seen it before, you should go see it. And as always, we want you to deep think.
Deeply think.
Deepest thinking.
Live deeply. And
Deeply live.
Deepest living.
And with that, we bid you adieu.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Au revoir.
Salutations. It's au revoir. It's not au revoir. You're not in
Sorbet.
pain. That's a food.